Good afternoon, Mr. Perry.
Good afternoon.
If you would scoot up close to that mic there so we can hear you good.
Better?
That's great. That's great. You are Ethan Perry, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Perry, how old are you?
I'm 25.
All right. And where do you live?
Kingsport.
All right. Do you know the defendant, Megan Boswell?
I do.
And how do you know Miss Boswell?
We dated in high school.
All right. Do you see Miss Boswell seated in the courtroom here today?
I do.
If you would point her out and describe what she's wearing.
A white top and glasses.
All right.
Black hair.
All right. Judge, let the record reflect he's identified the defendant.
Record so reflect.
All right. So you indicated you all dated while you were in high school. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when would that have been?
I was about 15, and she was about 13, so I'd say about 2014, 2015.
And where were you all in high school?
Sullivan Central High School.
All right. That here in Blountville?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long did you all have a dating relationship?
I'd say at least until I got out of high school, whenever I joined the Army.
Okay. Now, when you were in high school, where did you live?
In Blountville.
Okay. And who did you live with?
With my grandfather and my step-grandmother.
And who were they?
Carl and Sherry Perry.
All right. Did you also, as you were growing up, for a period of time, live with Paul Miller?
Yes, sir.
And who is Mr. Miller to you?
He is my step-grandfather.
Right. And when did you live with him?
Since birth until about 2010.
Okay. And how old were you at that time?
About 10 or 11.
Okay. All right. And so at that point in time, did you go to live with Carl and Sherry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you mentioned you had a dating relationship with Miss Boswell until you graduated from high school. When was it that you graduated?
2017.
Okay. And would that have been, what month did you graduate?
May, and I believe it was May 21st.
Okay. So end of May?
Yeah.
All right. What did you do after you graduated from high school?
Joined the Army.
Okay. And how soon after you graduated from high school did you join the Army?
10 days on May 31st.
Okay. Did you go straight into basic training at that time, or?
Not straight in. There were some hiccups along the way. I had some medical issues, but it was relatively quick. Yes.
All right. Where were you stationed?
I went to basic at Fort Benning, Georgia, and then I was sent to my unit in Fort Polk, Louisiana.
All right. Did you continue to keep in contact with Megan Boswell while you were at basic training?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say you were still in a dating relationship at that time?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay. How were you keeping in contact with her?
In basic training, mostly through letters. But by the time it was over, text.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't have a phone while you were...
It was like once a month we got our phone, but it was only for like 30 minutes. I can't really remember any conversations that we had specifically.
Okay. But you were still continuing to communicate with her the old-fashioned way by writing letters?
Correct.
Okay. So as your time in the Army continued, did you continue to have a relationship with Miss Boswell?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you come back home to Tennessee?
Yes.
And when was that?
Probably the first time would have been in probably the winter of 2017.
Okay.
For Christmas.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
All right. So you had leave, you came home at Christmas time, is that right?
Correct.
All right. Where did you stay when you came back?
With Carl and Sherry Perry.
All right. Did you have contact with Miss Boswell while you were here?
Can't remember for sure, but I'm sure, yeah.
Okay. Y'all were still in a relationship. Is that her statement?
Sure.
Okay. Well, if it's not, tell me.
I wouldn't call it a healthy relationship,
Okay.
but a relationship, yeah.
All right. You saw her while you were here in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at some time in 2018, did you learn that she was pregnant?
Yes.
And when was that?
I would have probably around March or April.
Okay. Did the two of you have any discussion about who the father of the child was?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that discussion?
Well, it was more of whenever she announced that she was pregnant, it seemed pretty delayed. It seemed like she would have known sooner. Well, the time that I was in. But, yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask it this way. Was there a discussion made about the fact that you were the father of the child?
There was, yeah.
Okay. And did you assume that you were the father of the child?
Initially, yeah, I just rolled with it. But, the blinders were taken off pretty quickly after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had some doubts?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in November 2018, she had her child, Evelyn, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Where were you stationed at the time that Evelyn was born?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Okay. Were you still in contact with Megan during this whole time?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, did you leave your assignment there at Fort Polk?
When, what year, what time?
After, this would have been November 2018.
Not in November, no.
Okay. Sometime later on?
For Christmas in like December, yes.
Okay. Where were you assigned at that point?
Fort Polk still.
Okay. So you came back home?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Megan and Evelyn at that time, or?
I did not.
Okay. Was there a reason why you didn't see her then?
Mostly just over the legitimacy and, still trying to figure that out. It was just really embarrassing, I guess, to
All right.
argue over it.
Not having a good relationship at that time?
That too, yeah.
Okay. So you leave after Christmas, you go back to the Army?
Correct.
Okay. Still in Louisiana?
Yes.
Okay. At some point in time during 2019, were you reassigned, or was your unit sent somewhere else?
We were sent to El Paso, Texas to assist Border Patrol doing surveillance on the border.
Okay.
We would work from El Paso to the Santa Monica station in New Mexico.
All right. Do you remember when in 2019 that would have been?
I'd guess March through September.
Okay.
That's my guess.
All right. Now, at some time later on in 2019, did Miss Boswell show up to visit you while you were stationed in El Paso, Texas?
She did.
Okay. Was this a planned visit? Did you know she was coming?
No, it was hasty. It's a hasty visit.
Okay. Well, if you would kind of tell us how that happened, or how it was that she ended up showing up down there.
Well, the conversation started with her wanting me to take leave to go up to come back up here to Bluntville. And I told her, no, we have a mission here in El Paso. I can't just get up and leave, And so she decided to, on her own, to drive from here all the way to El Paso. And it took her I'd say about 2 days to get there. And all of a sudden, one morning while because we were staying in hotels, we weren't on a base or anything. I just get a picture from her. She was parked outside of the hotel and just took a picture of the hotel. So, yeah.
You knew at that point she was in Texas?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious at that point.
Okay. So, what did you do?
Well, part of me just wanted to turn them away, but the other half was like, well, came all the way out here, may as well just stay. So I advised them to stay on the eastern end of El Paso because the western end is a little dangerous. And so, and then from there, we spent about 3 or 4 days together.
Okay. So did you take some time off of your work assignment there and go spend time with Megan and Evelyn?
Not officially, but yeah.
Okay. What did you all do?
I think the first day we just hanged out in the hotel room, just meeting Evelyn, playing patty cake, stuff like that, watching her walk around. And it was mostly that. We went to the El Paso Zoo. That was I think the second to last day. And then on the last day we We mostly just hanged out in the hotel. The last thing we did was we went to an IHOP,
All right.
and that was the last time I physically saw Evelyn.
Okay. And this is the first time that you've met Evelyn.
Yes,
Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay. She's not quite a year old at this point in time.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Was she walking or toddling or anything?
She was toddling, just stumbling over herself, and
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So at the end of the 3 days, you go back to doing your Army thing. Is that right? Okay. Where did Megan go?
I believe she came back here to
Okay.
Bluntville.
All right. Did you, after she left, did you continue to communicate with her?
Yeah.
All right. How were you all communicating during this time?
Primarily through Facebook Messenger.
All right. What sorts of things were you all talking about, or would you talk about?
Mostly just arguing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Would she tell you things about Evelyn?
Yeah.
Did she ever ask you for money or assistance to help out in taking care of Evelyn?
She did on at least one occasion.
Okay. Did you ever send any money or assistance or anything?
I sent a little bit. It wasn't much. I would say no more than $100.
Okay. Now, at this point in time, you're still assuming that you're the father of Evelyn Boswell. Is that correct?
At this point, I mean, I'm still just rolling with it. No, I don't. At that point, no, I didn't assume.
Okay.
I had my doubts, definitely, at that point.
All right. But you're still, I guess, interested or invested in what's going on with Evelyn.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
your statement? Okay. Now, at some point in time at the end of 2019, did you come back to Tennessee?
Yes,
And when was that?
for Christmas.
Okay. Do you remember what date specifically you might have come back?
Usually leave was about 2 weeks, and I think I was here until about New Year's or on New Year's. So I'd say, I don't know, 15th to the 30th.
Okay. And where did you stay when you came back to Tennessee?
At Carl and Sherry Perry's.
All right. Did you see Evelyn while you were here?
No.
Did you ask to see Evelyn while you were here?
Yes.
And what were you told?
I was told that she had the flu because we were planning to go over to Paul Miller's for Christmas, and it made sense because that's whenever COVID started making its rounds around the country, and so it seemed like a good excuse. Made sense.
Okay. And did you in fact go over to Paul Miller's?
Yes.
And did you go by yourself, or did you go with Megan, or how did that happen?
I went with Megan. We met up at the Northeast State Community College parking lot.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Mr. Perry, I'm going to show you two documents. Ask you if you can if you recognize those.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are they?
You want me to read it?
No. I just want you to tell me what they are, just generally.
It was trying to coordinate to get to Paul's.
Okay. Are those the text messages that you had with Miss Boswell on December the 23rd, 2019?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that a true and accurate representation of the conversation that you had with her?
Yes.
All right. Judge, I'd move to make that exhibit 97.
Objection.
No objection.
Before exhibit 97.
Asked to publish those to the jury. All right, Mr. Perry. So you are having a conversation with Miss Boswell. You say your phone's messed up. I'm at Verizon. You tell her, yes, I'm still going to Paul's. What's her response to that?
Evelyn is sick, so I'm not bringing her around to everyone. If you want to see her tomorrow, just you can. But she has the flu, and I don't think, being around a ton of people is such a good idea. I took her to the doctor. They gave her some medicine.
And then you say, okay, sounds good, my grandpa and would like to see her soon though. Sherry's about to go into hospice soon. She stopped taking her chemo just whenever Evelyn feels better. You ask, is she okay? What's her response?
Okay. Yeah, she's fine.
All right. And you say, everyone has the damn flu around here. And then,
She's just sick, and I don't want her around everyone. You want to meet me, and we can ride together?
all right. And did you all in fact meet up and go over to Paul Miller's?
Yes.
All right. And did Megan have Evelyn with her?
No.
Did you all talk about, while you were at Paul Miller's, Evelyn at all?
About Evelyn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you, and what did you all do while you were at Paul Miller's?
Just mostly just sat around. I believe we ate dinner, opened some presents, and it was relatively quick. I'd say we were there for no longer than 2 or 3 hours.
Okay. All right. After you left the Millers, where'd you go?
I went to take Megan back to her car at the Northeast State Community College parking lot.
Okay. Did you all have further conversations while you were here on leave?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And again, were you trying to see Evelyn while you were here?
Yes.
Okay. Were you, in fact, ever to see Evelyn? Able to see Evelyn?
No.
Okay. Did you see Megan again while you were home?
Yes.
Okay. And when was that?
Can't remember the exact date, but it was after Paul Miller's. Sherry and my grandfather Carl bought her some gifts, Evelyn some gifts, some baby food, and little stuff like that. So I asked Megan to come over to my place and just pick them up.
Okay. And you indicated you were staying there with Carl and Sherry Perry. Is that correct?
Correct.
And did Megan come to their house?
She did.
All right. And did you talk to her? Did you give her those items you just described, or?
Yeah. The conversation was relatively short. I just gave her the gifts, and she told me that she was going to go to, I believe it was Pigeon Forge with Hunter Wood.
Okay. Was Evelyn with her when she came to pick up those items?
No.
Okay. Did she say where Evelyn was?
Chances are she said, I don't know for sure.
Well, if you don't know or remember, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. How long was she there picking up those items?
Like 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. So, did you have further communication or conversation with Megan Boswell while you were home?
After that, it seemed like it was, conversation pretty much ended altogether.
Okay. Were you all still communicating by text and Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Perry, I'm going to hand you another document, ask you if you recognize that.
I recognize it, yeah.
And what is it?
It's Megan stating to me that her father just kicked her out of the house again, and that she won't have Evelyn back until she gets a place to stay.
Okay.
And then she said, "Never mind, I'm sorry."
All right.
The next day.
Those text messages you received from her?
Yes.
All right. And is that a true and accurate copy of text messages you received from her on December 26th and 27th?
Yes.
All right. Judge, I'd move to make that Exhibit 98.
12/26.
I'm sorry. 2019.
No objection. Before exhibit 98.
And I move to publish that. Good. Mr. Perry, she sent those messages to you. You did not respond to them. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is that somewhat normal for you sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you said you were on leave from the Army over Christmas there in 2019. First part of January, did you return to your duties with the U.S. Army?
Correct.
And where were you all stationed at that time?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
All right. Did you continue to communicate and receive communications from Miss Boswell after you returned to Fort Polk?
It was pretty rare, but yes.
Okay. And specifically, do you remember getting a message from Miss Rachel Owens?
Yes.
And without telling us what she said, did you, as a result of what you were told, communicate with Miss Boswell?
Yes.
Okay. And again, we're not get into the exact conversation, but the nature of what Miss Owens had asked you was the fact that there were concerns about Evelyn. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so then would it be fair to say you asked Miss Boswell what was going on with Evelyn?
Correct.
Did you have communications with her about that?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to hand you a document and ask if you can identify that.
Yeah, I recognize it.
And what is it, sir?
It's her stating that just to
Well,
ignore.
hold on. Don't read it
Sorry,
yet. No,
sorry.
you're fine. Just is that, and I'll lead you a little bit. Is that the text conversation that you sent Miss Boswell after you had the communications with Miss Owens?
Yes, this is her response.
Okay.
Yes.
And is that a true and accurate depiction of the messages that you sent her?
Correct.
All right, Judge, I'd move to make that exhibit 99,
Go full exhibit 99.
and I believe the date on that's January 19th, 2020. I'd move to publish that at this time, Judge.
Okay.
Okay, so you've messaged Ms. Boswell about the fact that you have concerns, Ms. Owens has expressed concerns about Evelyn, and her response is, just ignore her. I've not talked to anyone in my family in weeks. Literally, I've cut all ties with them. That's why she's not seen her. She and Dad cussed me out. Dad took me car from me in the middle of work and left me in a bind and shit. Fuck them. They aren't my fucking family. They never were to begin with.
That's all she said.
Okay. All right. Did she ever tell you anything else about Evelyn or where Evelyn was?
I can't remember.
Okay. All right. So that was January 19th of 2020. In February of 2020, did you receive some phone calls? Well, let me ask you this. Were you still in the Army, still at Fort Polk at that time?
Correct.
Okay. Did you receive some phone calls from family members?
I can't remember.
Okay. Did you receive some phone calls by the Department of Children's Services here in Tennessee?
Yes.
That surprised you?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
All right. And without saying what they said, why were they contacting you?
For the whereabouts of Evelyn.
All right. Did that surprise you?
Yes.
And why was that?
Because, well, I didn't have Evelyn, and that's what they were asking. If I had her, or if I seen her, or the last place that, where do I think where she would be, stuff like that.
All right. Were you then contacted by investigators with the U.S. Army?
Yes, I was contacted by the Central Investigation Division,
Okay.
CID.
And kind of tell us what happened with all that.
Well, initially, I got my officer of my
Criminal investigation.
All right. Mr. Perry, Mr. Perry, if you would go ahead. You're in the middle of telling us what happened as far as your investigation there by the Army.
So initially, I got contacted by my NCO in my company, and he told me that
Well, don't tell him what they
what he
said.
okay,
Just tell us what happened to you as a result of.
okay. I was contacted by CID. They wanted to set an appointment for after lunch, and so I went back to my barracks room, to get ready. I still had no clue what was going on until I got the call by DCS, and which they were asking about the whereabouts of Evelyn, and so which I gave the response. I don't know, all that.
Were you interviewed by interrogators there?
Yes.
For hours?
Yes.
Okay. Did you cooperate with them fully?
Yes.
Did you allow them to search your cell phone?
Yeah. Search my cell phone, take DNA, search my barracks, and search my car.
Okay. So investigators searched the barracks looking for Evelyn
Correct.
in Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Correct.
Okay. Was Evelyn there with you at your Army base there in Louisiana?
No.
Has she ever been there?
No.
With you?
No.
Okay. Did you cooperate fully with law enforcement in providing consent to search, provide DNA, anything else that was needed?
Absolutely. Everything that I could.
Okay. The only time you ever saw, when was the only time you ever saw Evelyn?
Was in El Paso.
Okay. That one time when Megan showed up.
Yeah, just out of the blue.
All right. Did you cooperate with law enforcement in determining the paternity of Evelyn Boswell?
Yes.
All right. Were you the biological father?
No.
Okay. All right. So the one and only time you see Evelyn is in 2019 before you came home for Christmas. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Perry. If you would answer any questions Mr. Scott has for you.
Mr. Perry, my name's Gene Scott. How are you today?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good, thank you. I have just a few questions for you. How many times did you actually see Evelyn?
Well, I saw her in El Paso through a span of 3 or 4 days.
Okay. Was that it?
Yes.
Okay. And you said Megan just showed up at your hotel while you were staying there with the Army?
Correct.
Sent you a picture?
Yes.
You had told her where you were staying?
Correct.
Okay, so that's how she would know to find you there.
Right.
And what did you all do over those 3 days you spent there?
Majority of the time was spent in the motel or hotel, whichever it was. And then we went out to eat. I think we just went out to pick up food. We went to the zoo, and we went to IHOP.
Did Evelyn appear healthy to you?
Yeah.
No signs of abuse or neglect?
I wouldn't say abuse. I mean, I saw like a small bruise on her arm or her leg, but she was starting to learning to walk, so I just assumed that's what that was.
Likely a child would fall down before you walk,
Right,
kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah.
Megan engaged with her? I mean, did she talk to her, appear to love her to you?
Repeat that.
Did she appear to love the child, Evelyn? If you know.
I don't know.
Okay. Was she normal? She clean when she brought her there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. No issues with that?
No.
No